Hi, I'm John Borland, and welcome to the John Borland podcast. Hello, welcome back to the John Borland podcast. Thanks again for joining us for this. So I'm joined today by someone who I've known for a few years now. Let me introduce you to Master Stuart Usher. Hi, Stuart.
Hello.
Stuart is the founder of Messingham Martial Arts. He's the chief instructor for the British Taekwondo Association. He's someone who I know because my youngest son goes along to his martial arts club and has done for a few years now. And I came across Stuart because we kind of live in the same village, and he does all this amazing stuff around martial arts with all these kids. And he's won some awards for it, and he's done some stuff on the telly and all that kind of stuff. So I really wanted to get him along just to talk about some of the things around martial arts, what it's done for him, what it does for the kids that he works with, what we can learn from it as well. Because just to let you guys know this, I used to rock up and take my kid to these classes that Stuart does. And at the end of these classes, Stuart would stand there in his master usher role, and he would talk to these kids, and he would just give them some brilliant kind of life tips and life instruction. So I just think he's going to be a great guest to have on the show. So just so we can, before we get into the martial arts stuff, Stuart, just so we can get to know you, opening question I ask everyone: if you could have a one-to-one conversation with anybody famous, living or dead, real or from fiction, who would you most like to chat with?
It has to be Bruce Lee. It has to be.
I knew I could have predicted it.
You can guess it, Kay. You can
guess. Yeah.
The thing is, when I first got, I've had a lifelong passion for martial arts. I mean, to me, it's a way of life. It's not a hobby; it's a way of life. So to have, as a young influence, to have like the Bruce Lee, who was one of the major ones. 1976, he did Enter the Dragon. I was born in '76, so by the time I was getting to an age where I understood stuff, that was like a big film. And I do remember, like, when you had the old VHS, the shops sold VHS tapes, or you could hire them, and you'd take them back. Me and my friends, we was getting these martial art films, and we was watching them and then practicing in the backyard and things like that. And it was just a big part of my life. And partly, which we'll probably come to in a bit, about my experience as a young person, but it was just a strong encouragement, an empowerment by watching these martial art films. And Bruce Lee obviously was right up there, and he was well known, and he was fantastic martial artist when you watch him. And regardless of what media says or what people say about his films being sped up, the guy was awesome. He had muscles everywhere, muscles on muscles, and he was dedicated to his art, dedicated to my art. My dan bars on my taekwondo and kickboxing side demonstrate that. And if I was able to sit down with him and just pick his brains and get some training tips off him, I'd be a white belt again. I would literally be a white belt again.
Brilliant. I love that thinking, mate. Great answer. Great start. Yeah, maybe predictable for a martial artist to go for Bruce Lee, but you can't look past it, can you? Do you know what I mean? It's so inspirational, so amazing, and so, like, it touched so many lives beyond martial arts as well. And that, amazing stuff, mate.
Not only was a martial artist, he was a philosopher as well.
Yeah, he was.
If you the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, which was his style, it's the way of the intercepting fist. His thought process, it just demonstrates there's more to Taekwondo or martial arts, whatever style you do, than kicking, punching, brawling, grabbing, throwing. There's here and there's the heart, head and the heart, as well as the actual weapons that you've got. There's so much to martial arts. It's unbelievable.
So let's get into this then. So you've talked a little bit about this, like how you sort of, Bruce Lee being an inspiration and watching the VHSs and practicing in the back garden. But I'm interested in this, like what has martial arts in the course of your life, what's it really given you? Now, we could probably be here for hours with this, right? But can you kind of nutshell it for us? Like, what's the main thing or things that martial arts has really done for you?
It has given me stability. It's given me a sense of balance. It's given me courage. It's given me self-esteem. It's given me confidence. It's all the things that I didn't have a lot of when I was younger. When I actually first started training properly, it was when me and my wife got married. She'd always spoke about wanting to train herself. She found the place that she wanted to train at. Now, I'd done judo as a young lad. Like I say, we watched films with friends and mimic moves, but I never actually officially trained and graded and things like that. So it was my early 20s when I actually went to a club in support of my wife, really. It wasn't for me, although I was very intrigued. But we both went and we started, and I never looked back. But the experience that I gained through training with other people, feeling their energy, then I very quickly got invited onto a leadership, because I guess I had the personality, I had the passion for it, and I ended up onto a leadership team. So you can be of a high grade, not black belt, high grade. You can hold a pad, you can encourage somebody. You're not instructing, but you're helping, you're coaching. And I was doing it 6 times a week. I was going after work until 9, 10 o'clock at night. I was going Saturday mornings. Like I said, the wife was training as well. We had no kids, and it was just, I gave myself to it. Unfortunately, as I have said in previous interviews, things like we've talked about the yin and the yang, balance and whatnot. For me, martial arts is balance. It's got to be balanced, and I like to run my club as a balanced unit. And unfortunately, I've had a lot of bad experiences, even in the martial arts. People and places promote, self-discipline, integrity, and all this lot, but they're not actually delivering it. And for me, I wanted to do that. I just wanted to have a club that was for the community, for the benefit of the members, and that's what I've got. I'm so proud I've got what I've got.
Yeah, you absolutely have. Your club is amazing and incredible, and there for the right reasons, and that's why I love it as well. Interesting when you talk about that, though. There's a parallel for me here, because obviously I'm part of the coaching world and the kind of coaching industry, and I say this publicly. I have a love-hate relationship with the coaching industry, because I love coaching. I absolutely love what it does for people. I love what it brings. I love what it gives. I love the life-changing impact that it has. But at the same time, there's a bit of a darker side to it, where people are at times, and it's only a minority, but at times almost exploiting vulnerable people and trying to get rich quick off the back of coaching and all this stuff, where I just think the world of coaching that I operate in should be the most authentic, empathic community that has ever walked the earth. And a lot of it is, but there is this kind of darker side to it. And almost the point where, if I tell people I'm a coach and they go, oh, like a life coach, I want to go, no, like I am, but no, because I want to distance myself from that imagery that's been created. And it's different, but I imagine what you're talking about is something similar, that there's that slightly, sometimes there's that reputation that comes with martial arts.
It comes down to people, doesn't it? You can have the greatest idea, but if the right people aren't behind it, it's not. And the thing that gets me, and probably why I'm so passionate about, I don't like arrogance. I don't like people thinking, if they've done something, it gives them an ego boost, doesn't it? If they beat somebody in a way, and no matter how they've done it, or if they're out just to make money out of you and they con you and they laugh, I hate that. I absolutely hate it with a vengeance. And the thing is, unfortunately, I've seen it within the martial arts world. I've seen bullying in the martial arts world. I've had students come to me because the place they was at, they were being bullied. They weren't being supported. That's not martial arts.
Yeah.
That's just a profit-making McDojo, as they call it in our trade. It's like a franchise that just sell, get your money in and all that. I really try to be fair with my members. I'm very transparent with what fees are about. And I think people deserve that. I think that's the way to be. And it is what it is. Again, coming back to the yin and the yang, that symbol, you've got for those that don't know it, if those that's watching, it's like a circle with an S, if you like, and you've got white and you've got black, but then there's a black dot in the white and a white dot in the black. A martial arts symbol or an Asian symbol, but it means balance. It represents balance. So there's the good and the bad and the good. There's it's a very old fashioned sort of term, but the male and female, or the positive and negative, and it all balances out. That circle balances itself out. And so not all good people are good all the time, not bad people are bad all the time. And I did actually do an instruction training thing for a place that I was teaching at, and it did mention the good, the bad, the ugly of instructor types, and it's things I'd learned over the years of being an instructor and going to courses and colleges and all this lot, which I've done loads of, and it sort of represented. It was very stereotypical, and it wasn't meant that one person's bad, one person's ugly, one person's good. It means everybody has elements of each.
Yeah.
If you understand that, then you can iron out the negative and push forward the positive. But people that want to be good have to really work at it and want it.
It's interesting. I love this idea of balance. It's something that obviously we talk about quite a bit within coaching, and something I've spoke about before, which is this idea that we can be too quick to attach ourselves to just one thing or the other. So we almost polarize ourselves, and we can do that thinking we'd do it. Like people say, I'm a good person, and I think you're absolutely right. Right? What, all the time, always? Because I'm not a good person all the time. Do you know I'm not?
No.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Sometimes I am, but there's definitely darkness in me as well. There's no doubt about it. There's darkness in me. In the same way that people will often say, things like, well, I'm a really faithful person. And I'm like, all the time? Because sometimes you actually need to not be faithful. Because if you think about this, people who are always faithful, sometimes being faithful is great. It's absolutely the right thing. But sometimes being faithful is a nightmare because it stitches you up. It means you stay in toxic relationships. It means you stay in jobs that you absolutely hate. It means that you keep friends around you that are absolutely no good to you because you're just being faithful. And it's the best example is probably the idea that often people say to me, oh, you're such a confident person. No, parts of me are incredibly confident and parts of me are really insecure. And parts of me are like really loud and parts of me are really shy.
Yeah.
And parts of me are good and parts of me are bad and parts of me are funny and parts of me are serious. And it's this whole spectrum that I think so the yin and the yang for me is that balance, but also that wholeness as well. That wholeness to life and being able to really, as much as possible, know yourself in the totality of who you are, not in just emphasizing that one bit or that other bit. I think they've all got a part to play really in life, is what I'm saying.
They have. I mean, I've got the same with you say faithful. I have with loyalty. For me, I feel I'm a loyal person, but I'm not a stupid person.
Yeah.
I've learned not to be. I've stayed loyal to the wrong people for a long time, and it's not done me any good. In fact, it led me to a very negative part in my life. But I've got a list. I created a list, if you don't mind, and I call it of the self.
Yeah, go on, throw it in, please.
Use this in class.
Yeah.
And when you listen to the of the self, and I don't believe in being selfish. I don't believe in that kind of thing. I believe in giving. But of the self-control, self-discipline, self-esteem, self-motivation, self-belief, self-respect, self-determination, self-awareness. All positive words, aren't they?
Yeah.
All words that can guide you into having control of your mindset. And it's not being selfish. It's growing that self. That brain in here is us.
Yeah.
This outside is external. That brain is us. And it's you have got to look after yourself. But when it comes to like respect, and I'm a big believer in respect. If you give respect, you should get respect back. If you don't, then you just walk away. And the hardest thing about that is it might be people you want that respect from. It might be the people you want to be friends with. It might be the people that you admire from afar, and they turn out to be absolute awful to you and disrespectful, or use you. And then when they've had what they want from you, drop you. That's where I got hurt. Even in adult life, I got hurt very bad, number of times with that. And it's as much as it's just growing up and experience, I do think the martial arts and the talks that I give to the members, and then we say children. I mean, I've got adult members, I've got taekwondoists, I've got kickboxers, I've got all ages, right up to late 60s and that. And their journey is their own, and I'm just proud to be a small part of that journey and give them my thoughts. They don't have to take what I say. It's just my thoughts, my advice, my experience, and then they can apply it to their lives and learn from that if they want to, and go forth and hopefully be successful.
Yeah, I'm curious about this. So, because obviously what you're doing is you're teaching people martial arts.
Yeah.
But actually you're teaching people, I've seen this with my own son, far more than just martial arts. In the same way in our world, we talk about coaching and people coming for coaching sessions, and But in reality, people don't really come for coaching. What they come for is what coaching gives them and does. Coaching is just the tool that
Yeah,
opens the door
of course.
for bigger experiences. So I suppose what I'm asking with this is, what's your hopes and your kind of drive behind doing this? Because you spend a lot of time on top of working and raising a family,
Yeah.
committing yourself to this martial arts club. You spend a lot of time doing that. Most people, I don't think, could do that, but you do. So what is really driving that? What are you really hoping for when people come to your club and, you know, they spend some time there and they become a member? And what transformation are you hoping to see, I suppose, is what I'm asking.
I get great joy on the number of parents like yourself that say such great things about how, and it's not just I have got a great team behind me as well, but the drive for me is kind of, it's like being a parent. You don't want your kids to have the same bad experiences you've had, even though they're going to have their own. I want them to be successful in life. I want them to be good people, not selfish. Think of others. My mum. This comes from my mum, really. If I'm honest, she was always a very nice. She was balanced in the sense that she was a very nice person, very approachable, soft speaking, unless she was mad. But everybody seemed to love her. Everyone she helped. She worked at a play group. She was up while midnight getting crafts ready, so the next morning the kids had things to do other than just the usual toys. She was just, and she wanted them to have a great experience, learn while they were doing, and if anyone did anything good, she'd pat them on the back. She just pat them on the back, and I think that was a massive influence to me. My dad, I mean, fortunately, my dad's still alive. I saw him today. He's in his 80s. My mum passed away when she was 63 of cancer. And I learned from them both. My dad's all about fairness and things that are right, what's right, whereas my mum was very forgiving and very sort of soft. But she, like the yin yang, she could be quite abrupt and in your face if you'd done wrong, whereas my dad would be understanding and calm in the other aspect. Mm-hmm. So for me, with my members, short term, I want them to walk out that hall, even if I've in a way told them off sometimes. When I say tell them off, it's not that I'm an ogre or anything like that. I'm straight with them. They know that what I say is right. It's not sugar-coated sometimes. I praise what's the word? I'm trying to think of the word. It's realistic. It's not pretend. Yeah. If I give someone an award card or a sticker, it's not because, well, they haven't had one for a while, like some clubs do. It's, no, you earned that. You earned that.
It sounds like it's authentic. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's not authentic. It's realistic. It's real. And so when they walk out, they know they've done good. When they walk out my club, they know that belt around their waist, they've earned. Mm-hmm. I'm not a club that gives awards away. I don't give belts away. They are earned. And, that is not a profit-making business. A profit-making business has to have this turnaround of people that will pay you money because they're getting what they want. Nah, if you don't like what I'm giving you, fine, you can go. I'm making sure that when you walk out that door, if you went to say you moved to another country and you started at a club there and you did your skills, they'll be like, yeah, okay, not what the heck have you been doing all this time? I want that realistic side to it. And I want, from the martial arts point of view, for them to understand, but it gives you them life goals, doesn't it? If you know life is not handed on a plate, that you have to work for things, hard work pays off. As a kid, it's great. You've got your parents, if you're fortunate enough, you've got parents that care for you, that look after you, and they want the best for you. And then you have friends, and then you go to parties and you play. Nowadays, it's all games, especially with lockdowns. It's been a lot of games and such like. But to have something where hopefully the children have the passion for reaching that goal, me and my team help them reach that goal. It gives them the confidence that they can do it, and then they'll go on to reach another goal. And then when they apply it to their actual life, when they get into work or whether they go to college or whatever, then they know I can do this.
Yeah.
And I feel that I've kind of learned the hard way. I had a loving, supporting family behind me, but I do not necessarily feel that, and I am quite a sensitive person. I always was when I was younger. That's why I got bullied. I didn't feel I had the support I needed in hindsight. I did find it hard to talk to my parents and others. I did hide it. I bottled it up, and I'd never felt. And even now, I struggle to trust people because of my past. I guess I found the wrong friends, and I know I have friends. The friends that I've stayed in touch with from school, yes, we were friends, and we did stuff. We was in bands together and things like that. But I don't know. I just really wasn't comfy in my own skin, and it was a big battle for me in that sense.
So you've come a long way here, then. You know, when you're
I think
describing that as who you were,
yeah,
you've come a real long way. How big a part has martial arts played in that journey for you, that progress, that development for you?
I think it's the sole reason. When I first started doing leadership at the club we was training at, I thought I was relatively confident. I thought I was. Then you get in front of a class full of little kids staring up at you, saying, "Right, train us," and
Yeah.
I'm only there to help out. But then it's like, and then suddenly, you know, I mean, I do actually remember the very first time I looked down at this kid. I'd been doing it a few times, and he looked up at me, little guy, round glass, and went, "We ain't got you again, have we?" And that could have thrown me off. That could have made me, right, I'm no good at this. I can't do it, and walk away. I'm just trained. But it didn't. Something switched inside my head, and I wasn't going to care so much about what people thought of me. I just wanted to do a good job. I had a good idea of what I wanted to do, and I made myself do it. I pushed myself. I learned any chance I got to learn. I was there. And when you've got a passion for something, it's not hard work. You really, really love something. It's not hard work.
I agree with that.
So it's I want to pass on that my enthusiasm, my passion. I want to pass that on to the students. I'll say students because I have got all ages, but especially the children, because they are sponges. They're like blank canvases, and if I can help guide them to be successful and happy, if a child is raised in a balanced, happy, well-adjusted home with great support, which again we come to balance, it's not always there. Even you be the best parents in the world, there's always negative points. But that person hopefully will grow up to be a well-adjusted adult, a head on the shoulders. You hear a lot about depression now and about what people are going through, and people are realizing that it is a real thing. And thankfully people are getting support with that. So if I can give them the strength to tackle things that life will throw at them as they grow up and become adults, I've done my job.
Brilliant, mate. It's like, I mean, this is how I think of it, and I'm sure other people have thrown this at you, but you are like a real life Mr. Miyagi, aren't you? Do you know, like that? Yeah. I mean, that is my reference point. For anything martial arts, my reference point is Mr. Miyagi. Do you know what I mean? It really is like that. It's, in my opinion, it's the second best film ever made. So I'm a huge fan of The Karate Kid. For people who don't know who Mr. Miyagi is, he's the dude in The Karate Kid, the movie in the 80s. Yeah. Who effectively, and there's this brilliant scene in The Karate Kid that I've spoken about before, but where Daniel, some of you'll know this because it's mega famous, where Daniel goes to Mr. Miyagi because he's being bullied, doesn't he? And he basically wants to learn some martial arts, and he wants to toughen himself up a little bit, and he wants to be able to fight. And Mr. Miyagi basically gets him doing odd jobs, doesn't he? Like he gets him, you know, waxing on, waxing off, and painting the fence and all that, blah, blah, blah. And there's this brilliant scene where Daniel, this teenage kid who wants to learn to fight, is irritated because Mr. Miyagi's just making him do what he thinks are odd jobs around his house. Mr. Miyagi comes back from a fishing trip. Daniel challenges him. What am I doing? I haven't learned anything. And Mr. Miyagi then reveals it to him by saying, show me wax on, wax off, show me paint a fence. And shows Daniel that actually through doing this stuff, he has really been learning the movements and the patterns that are needed to be able to perform at a high level. Obviously, it's a film and it's a movie, so it's kind of all sped up a little bit. But the brilliance in it for me is that what people are really learning, what people are really getting is so much deeper than what we think. And often in life, we're learning lessons and we don't even realize we're learning them. So a really simple one for me is I grew up playing football, and I know football gets a really bad press and often well-deserved bad press, to be honest, with the way it's been. Well, it's just the media have got hold of it so much. But some of the things from football, honestly, then start to apply to life. And I'm interested if you do this the same as I do. But so sometimes when life's tough, my head goes, this is like being 1-0 down with 5 minutes to go, and it's raining and it's horrible and the wind's in your face and you're down to 10 men. And can you get yourself a result? Do you know what I mean? Can you just dig deep and push on and run a bit harder and tackle a bit harder and just drive and be brave enough to go get yourself an equaliser? And honestly, I think of life almost in football terms, because that was my point of reference for things like resilience and determination and guts and being able to stand up for myself. And, you know, that was my point of reference. And does martial arts do the same thing for you? Do you think of life in a kind of martial arts way?
Well, I mean, it is a way of life for me. But yes, you sort of, as small as when I was on the tools, and I'm an electrical engineer by trade, but when I was on the tools as a craft person, something daft like carrying a box and it's getting heavy and the table's just there. Instead of just giving up there and then, it's like, no, I'm a black belt, I can get it there. You know, that's sort of daft. As small as that. But that small step is a positive thing. And I do think whatever people's interests are, whatever it is, if it gives them strength, if it gives them confidence, harness that, and just do your best with it. Because physical activity anyway, releasing endorphins, makes you feel good, makes you feel better. But when whether it be the football thing where you've got a challenge to win the game and you're 1-0 down, 10 minutes to go, or whether you're in a black belt grading, you've got 1,000 exercises to do after a 3-hour grading, you've done loads of sparring, you're absolutely tired out, and you've got 200 push-ups, 200 sit-ups, 200 star jumps, and then you've got to do 50 full of them, and then you've got to break boards after that. What it is designed to do is push that person to prove to them you've always got that little bit of extra energy. You know, you may feel tired, your brain may tell you to stop. But in Taekwondo particularly, Taekwondo and kickboxing are my styles. In Taekwondo particularly, we have these tenets, and it's modesty, etiquette, perseverance, self-control, indomitable spirit. Now, perseverance and indomitable spirit are quite similar. Perseverance is where you just keep going and you don't give up. Whereas indomitable spirit is when you're absolutely at your rock bottom, you keep fighting, you keep going. And it's that sort of attitude that, done in a positive way, is great. If you do it in a negative where you're downtreading people in order to succeed, that I don't like. You see that in the workplace a lot.
I love this because I think all of us as human beings are more resilient than we know we are.
Yeah.
We just are, and we don't get to tap into it a lot, but we find out how resilient we are when life really throws some stuff at us, and we think we won't be able to survive it, but we will, like we always do. And when I do talks on resilience, my starting point is always to the people I'm talking to, just so you know, you are utterly resilient because you're here right now. You've actually already managed to overcome everything life has thrown at you so far. You have. And that might not have been easy, and you might be in the process of overcoming, but you have overcome because you are here right now. And I think there's something about knowing that we have that. And I imagine martial arts enables people to touch base with that part of themselves.
It gives them the confidence. You've just struck a chord with me, because there's one thing, and I'm a people person. I like to think that I'm a people person, but there's one thing that will cause you your downfall, and that is people, because you can cause your own downfall. But I've lived a life, and the reason why I celebrate my awards, whether it be my 6th Dan black belt taekwondo, I'm hopefully going for my 5th Dan kickboxing in December. I celebrate the fact I got BBC Unsung Hero. I've been entered into a couple of Hall of Fames, small ones, but very, very nice to be put in them. British Steel awarded me when I worked for British Steel. I celebrate them because I lived a life of really, and it's because I was sensitive, and being a man. I don't believe in this alpha male rubbish. I don't believe in it. I don't.
No, me neither. That's we could do a whole other podcast on that, mate.
We could do, couldn't we? But it's the people that pull you down, and if you believe them, all right, take advice. But every time I did something good, the friends I had around me, not everybody, don't get me wrong, but certain people around me were the ones that either had done better or what I'd done wasn't that good. It always had to be, I was proud of something and I wanted to celebrate it, but they wouldn't. And they would drag it down. And that's another thing I try and share with my students. I remember when we first started, we've been open 7 years now, and one of the first students to come to us that had trained with me at a previous place. One of their issues was they had a friend, and this is what I was saying earlier about these friends. You want them to be your friend. They said, do this or I won't be your friend. Well, they're not a friend then, are they?
Mm.
Whatever it was I wanted him to do. I don't know, it was something daft, something silly. It was going to get him in trouble at school or whatever. But they're not friends. If you're saying, oh, I'll be your friend if you do this.
Yeah.
No, if you're my friend, you're my friend. You like me for who I am.
Unconditionally, you're my friend. Yeah.
And it's the manipulation. I hate manipulation. And it's probably because I've been manipulated in the past, in a sense. And it's really one of the things I want to give my students, that confidence that they can say, no, you've been an idiot, I'm not doing that. I say to my boys, if you've got in with a gang of lads that we're up to no good, do not feel pressured to do it. Be the one that stands out, be assertive, be the one that says, this is daft, I don't want any part of this, and walk away. It sounds cliche, and it's very difficult for a parent to sound cool saying that, if you like. But I'm very straightforward with my boys, and I'm very sort of, well, this is what it is. This is what it could lead to. And I've always said to them, if they tell me the truth, I can help them.
Yeah.
If they don't tell me the truth, I can't help them.
I love the balance that you're showing us here, because I mean, obviously, people can on this, if people are watching the video or listening to it, they can see nothing, or the people watching the vid can just see your face. But, what I love about this is that you're like a master in martial arts, and strong and tough and physically. I wouldn't fancy my chances if me and you had a scrap. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't fancy my chances at all. Do you know what I mean? It would depend on who's quickest, how fast I can run, right? I wouldn't fancy my chances. So there's this big, strong bloke, and yet you're able to talk about being sensitive. And I love the fact that you're not just talking about this yin and this yang, but you're actually showing us it through this conversation. You're talking about this toughness that you have, and yet this sensitivity that you have. And I think it's brilliant to see. And I think in men in particular, we need more of this. We need more of this. We need more that it is, because it's almost been presented to us, and this is a whole other podcast, so we won't go too far with this, but it's almost been presented to us that as a man, you can either be tough or you can be sensitive. And I'm like, no. It's all of that. It's the fullness of it, isn't it? And neither of those need hiding. We don't need to play any of them down. We can be strong and sensitive. In fact, strong and sensitive are almost one and the same thing. They're wrapped together. And so I just want to say thanks for showing us that, because it's just a brilliant thing to represent, I think, particularly for men to see that. Yeah. It's not just a man thing, but I think the way it's been presented in our society.
Yeah, the man up pills and man up, you'll be all right, chin up, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. That does actually mean a lot to me. I'm sort of demonstrating my beliefs, and I think you do have to demonstrate your beliefs as long as they're positive. You're not breaking the law. You demonstrate your beliefs, and I think it's a powerful thing. And thank you for that. It's a big, and then we're probably in a very good era to change that, because you are getting more accepting attitudes to everything. To me, we're all human. We come into this world the same. We end up leaving it the same. Yeah. What we do in the middle of it is up to us to make the best of it, and not let those that want to make it a bad experience affect us. And I think, be who you are. Be happy with who you are. Surround yourself with positive people. If there's people you want to be around that are negative, you're going to have to just cut them ties. I'm sorry. As much as you want to be with that group, they're no good for you. And they will pull you down. I've had so many instances where it can be as much as the person. This comes back to the good, the bad, the ugly of me instructor types. You get the ugly where it's nasty and horrible and all this stuff. Then you get the bad where they seem to be quite good and they're very good at selling things. But then actually what they're doing is quite passive aggressive and quite underhanded, and they're cheating and robbing, and they're very negative in many ways. And I've had a lot of friends in the past that were no longer friends that I thought they were there to support me, and I did everything I did to support them because that's the way I was. But then something good would happen, and there'd just be this underlying comment that just bring you down a bit. Yeah. And it wasn't like I was on there going, "Hey, look at me, I'm," and I needed pulling down. I was just, I was really happy about that. And then
I think I think it shows the quality of a person when we can celebrate with another person.
Yeah.
When it doesn't do anything for us, but we can just celebrate because it's great for them. And yeah, I mean, I've had incidents of this. We need to finish up in a minute, but I remember when I told somebody who I thought was a friend, who I thought was kind of on my side, that I was, going to write my first book. And they said, who do you think you are to write a book? Like, why would you even be considering writing a book? What have you got to say? Yeah. And I remember walking away just being a bit like, oh, and it took me a while to realize that didn't mean that I shouldn't write a book. Exactly. And when I say a while, it took me a few hours, but it really left me despondent of like, oh, maybe I won't write a book then, maybe I won't. But actually, a few hours later, I realized that that's got nothing to do with whether I should write a book or not. Exactly, that's got everything to do with how they feel about something. I don't know what that is. I don't know what was going on for them.
That's fantastic.
I think we get these moments, don't we? And I think that could have stopped me and gone, right, well, I won't write a book then, because I had my doubts anyway about writing one, and it kind of, whereas actually being able to step past that.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of me that now goes, and I've written 2 books and I'm going to write a 3rd one. And I never thought I'd write one, but I am. It's that ability, isn't it, to kind of step beyond who people are trying to tell you are, and really know who you are yourself. And I think in the martial arts world, when it's done really well, that's what it does for people. It gives them all those self things that you read out earlier. Yeah. It gives you all that sense of self and understanding of you, doesn't it? And really helps you to get to know yourself, which I think is so crucial for our health and our happiness in the world.
And a lot of these people that give you the negative comments is because they can't be bothered to step up to where you are. They want to put you down to their level. They can't do the hard work, don't want to do the hard work, but they want to be above you. This is bullying. Bullying is a power struggle. They're trying to be higher than you. And so what they're trying to do is pull you down because they can't be bothered to do it themselves. So, well done you for that. That's amazing. Well done you.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's one story amongst the plethora of many I've had in my life. And I'm sure everyone else has had stories of that ilk as well. And I think the challenge is whether we buy into the narrative that we're being given by another person, or whether we choose to see our own story and our own way forward with it. Absolutely. And it's those things that I think that really matter in life. And I love what you're doing, mate. Thanks so much for coming on this podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. We at some point I'll get you back on and we'll do a whole other one on the whole male toxic masculinity stuff, and we'll talk that through. But thank you so much, and thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
With the members in your club as well, mate. I know that you've touched a lot of lives, mate. You've made a huge difference to a lot of people. So on behalf of them and my own son, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
For you guys listening as well, thanks for listening along to this. Thank you for keep sharing and keep supporting this podcast. I really appreciate it. And again, I'm going to say this. If there's anybody out there you think that needs to listen in particular to this episode, just send it to them, share it with them, get it out there, because it's good stuff for people to listen to. But thank you for being along on this journey with us. Take care of yourselves, guys. We'll see you soon for the very next episode. Thanks so much for joining us on the John Borland podcast. Please comment, like, and share to help us build this global community.